All right, man. Torture Talk after hours. So we're gonna check in with Fantastic Hip Hop and see what he talking about. With this whole thing with the Spotify bot thing with Drake and the lawsuit thing. So we're gonna get into that. We'll be back. You know what it is. Torture Talk after hours. All right, man. So let's get it, brother and sister. Let's go.
Now, when it comes to Drake and Kendrick Lamar, well, if you are ready to see the biggest fraud, fake, phony, and liar in hip hop have more of that truth come out that he has tried to lie about for so long, make sure to leave a like and subscribe before we go any further, because with the latest news that is coming out all around the streaming numbers and authenticity of Drake's entire musical catalog, well, it is not looking good for him, and if you thought that things have been bad already, well, from Kendrick Lamar's success only getting further verified to be authentic to Drake getting more artificial, leave a like and subscribe so everybody can see how lame old lobbery is just falling apart in every sense of the word. And now with that said, well, right now with the guy who has the fakest abs in the game, really with the entire fan base behind this crash out, the one thing and angle that they have never turned on for some reason is this idea and concept that Kendrick Lamar has been faking his streaming numbers and that everything he has is pretty much made up in terms of his.
Yeah, I just seen something today on I believe it was chilling with Moni's page, and she posted that none of the streams, everybody had Spotify remove streams from all of these artists: Eminem, Drake, Kanye West, uh, Nicki Minaj. I think it was somebody else on there. I'm not sure. Lil Wayne, maybe. I'm not sure. And Kendrick name wasn't on there. They didn't remove none of his streams. His name wasn't on there. I find that kind of fascinating how a lot of times people be saying Kendrick Lamar use bots and the K bots and all this stuff. Like, keep it going, bro. Keep it going. Keep on talking about those K bots. Keep it up.
Numerical success, which again has really resulted in some of the worst takes and failed gotcha moments that show how bad the comprehension of the OVO community is. Such as when you see them trying to compare Kendrick's monthly listener count from after the Super Bowl to now and question why his monthly listeners dropped off from over 110 million people to being now in the 80 million range. Like the boost and drop off from all of the new listeners that tuned into the biggest broadcast of the year in the Super Bowl does not correlate and make sense with these numbers in general. But now beyond stuff like this and all of the attempts over and over again, which are just straight up random and made up, because despite all of the wipes that Spotify and platforms have done to try and remove fake streams and make sure that the numbers that everybody has is authentic, which again all of these platforms have collectively been doing more and more of, and especially Spotify, within all of this and with all of the artists who have been taken.
I thought that was so corny that Drake had a shirt on with bullet holes in it and smoke coming out the back. I thought that was so corny. That's so like, I don't know. It's so like he overdoes stuff. I think that's the reason why a lot of people feel the way they feel about him, cause he do a lot of stuff that's just like, bro, what are you doing? Like, why? Why are you doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just weird to me that he does these things. Like, and he did that. Like, for what? Like, what was the point of that? It's just I don't know. Sometimes I think Drake does things that's just so shallow and corny, and it's like, why are you doing that, bro? Come on now.
Down, Kendrick's numbers have not been changed once, and now with the most recent occurrence of this, you're probably not surprised if you're here, but Kendrick's numbers have continued to stay unchanged and unfazed as they stand as a sentiment to the fact that Kendrick has built one of the most authentic crops of superstardom that you could ever have, and when you see that Kendrick is doing stadiums the way he is on tour, again, he just started the Europe phase of the Grand National Tour, and he rocks one of the biggest stadiums out there in Cologne, Germany. Well, honestly, once again, when you have this moment where you compare reality with these weird narratives and failed gotcha moments, it is pretty funny that Drake fans are delusional enough that they are really trying to say with a straight face that Kendrick Lamar and his numbers are all backed by fake stats and nothing else. Because with where Kendrick Lamar is at,
Like I said before, I don't understand how y'all can sit here and tell me that there are fake stats. Fake stats. or fake people. One dude said all of those people in the stadium, he meant this. He said those are not real people. Those are just actually props. Some of those are props with lights on it. And I'm like, y'all go through extreme lengths to try to disprove Kendrick Lamar and what he has done in his career. Y'all go to the extreme. I'm telling you, I see it. Y'all go to the extreme. It's crazy.
The run he is on. You literally don't get to this high of a level without having one of the biggest imprints an artist has had on music in literally decades. And so now, while Kendrick Lamar has once again had no issues with streaming in his catalog, and of course the hits like Not Like Us and Luther remain unchanged, and so does everything else, because just as Kendrick has told all of these losers over and over again, you can try to rig the game, but you can't fake influence. Well, now, while Kendrick is good, speaking of rigging the game and faking influence as much as you possibly can. I mean, you're not surprised. This brings us to Lamo Lawbury and everything that he has going on in this time, because seemingly in the most recent change and wipe of Spotify's numbers, well, in the hip-hop lane, which usually these things don't tend to affect hip-hop itself, 3 big names in rap were all checked and are all losing streaming numbers, and these names were none other than Nicki Minaj, Kanye, and Drake. And now with all 3 of these artists, well, this entire situation is shocking, and even when you see somebody like Kanye, who has had no industry support for a while, ever since he has fumbled his career like few ever have. To be honest, when you see that he's faking numbers, you wonder what is going on with him and his catalog. And
now, I don't know if these people are actually faking numbers. I have no clue. I have no clue if they're faking these numbers. I will say that if Spotify is removing them, I don't want to say they're faking these streams, because if Spotify was to remove Kendrick's streams or something like that, then we would have to say, well, then Kendrick must be faking numbers too. So maybe something happened. I don't know. I have no clue. But let's keep it going.
What impression they are trying to give off about him. But bigger than that, and what is going to have the most consequences on this entire thing in general because of where we are at in the industry, is of course the removal of streams that are seemingly coming from Drake. And now, first off, with this being seen from early data and checks of what has been removed, it's funny enough because once again, the supporters of Lawbury are moving like that other red hat wearing fan base of people who can't accept any sort of reality or accountability, and who as a result consistently just deflect and say that their rival is the one who was losing all of the things that they are losing. And of course that is not true, and it's just a sad and pathetic deflection of what they are trying to do to move away from reality after getting humiliated the way they are more and more in this very moment. And now I say all of that to say, when you snap out of reality, take the hat off and look at what all of these people are going to have to face whether they like it or not, what you'll see is that with Drake's streams being checked and questioned and seeing that things are not the way they should be, well, as funny as it is to see Drake's legitimacy be under question and once again see how the numbers that he hid behind have even been fake, because that was the last thing he was holding on to try to keep any sort of his ego intact, well, in the greater sense, and with everything going on in the Not Like Us suit especially, well, for Drake, this is where your actions really come back to haunt you and where your choices really will make you regret things. Because as Drake and his team are whining in rooms and are trying to claim that at least 10% of Not Like Us' success came from fake streams, and that could even be a higher number due to the impact of the fake listeners, which they are claiming made.
Which is weird. That's real wild to me for them to make that claim. It's like, how you make a claim for a song, and so for example, Not Like Us blew up fast. It blew up so fast that you're saying that, to me, you would still have to have a certain amount of bots for it to blow up fast, which means like you can tell if a song is actually faked, because it'll be, I'm talking like it'll be like somebody, it's like if somebody put out a song and then it was 10 minutes long, right? And then I came back, I said, I just heard that song. And I put it out 5 minutes ago, and you tell me you just heard the whole song, and the song is 10 minutes, and it's only been 2 minutes. That's what I mean by the streaming. How I would say a lot of people can't say that Kendrick was faking the streams, because you would have to do a whole lot for that to happen. You know what I'm saying? In a short span of time, you can see that this is fake if that was the case, but that wasn't the case. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, in my opinion.
Real ones want to listen to the songs more and more because in this own delusional thing that they are trying to do, the entire Drake case is resting on this principle that it wasn't the people who were watching the most eye-catching back and forth in rap ever to make this song go big, and it was the streaming numbers that were fake. Well, with this, in this time where they are claiming this about Kendrick, and yet Not Like Us and his catalog remain untouched, and yet now Drake is the one who may be losing so many of his streams very soon according to what they detected. Well, once again, that lame old curtain that has been hiding Drake and all of the tricks that he has used in the industry to really just grift every single person are coming out more than ever. And when we see Drake's strange history entirely, a lot of all of the things with his relationship with the streaming platforms, which ranges from forcing his music everywhere to playing Drake's songs so much that they have stayed on the charts in a lot of cases just from features like autoplay, and we are seeing this as a result right now with Apple Music especially, because as they are releasing their top 500 most streamed songs of all time, and we look at the charts to this day, when you see a song like For Free still getting a
Going on out there. Some shit exploded. I guess the 4th of July is tomorrow. But yeah, y'all see that? Y'all see that? Look at this. Let me run it back a little bit. Look at this.
We are seeing this as a result right now with Apple Music especially, because as they are
look at this. This was all the playlist that Drake was on. You can't tell me nothing, man. If you putting this dude on all of these different playlists and he's not even a part of some of these genres, I don't want to hear it. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me about Kendrick.
Releasing their top 500 most streamed songs of all time, and we look at the charts to this day. When you see a song like For Free still getting a lot of streams, for example, to be as high as it is, if you use the platform, you know this, it is simply because of a feature like autoplay, which just keeps running these Drake tracks up over and over again for no reason. Well, overall now, with these streamers all being checked up on more and the platforms being broken down to analyze the numbers and really go deeper about the legitimacy of everything, what it seems like is happening now is not that Drake is faking streams in the same way that we are seeing with new artists, and especially within a genre like K-pop, which is the biggest offender of these entire problems. Pretty much what they do there is just fake streams and create the impression that somebody is popular. Also, that within the culture of the genre, you could actually gain momentum, which is pretty much just like the music version of fake it till you make it. Well, of course, what Drake
Yo, them K-pop dudes is wild. That was wild. He was like, pow. Yo, look at this. This is hilarious.
There is just fake streams and create the impression that somebody is popular. Also, that within the culture of the genre, you could actually gain momentum, which is pretty much just like the music
Yo, the K-pop bulls is they are wild. This is hilarious. You know, the funny thing about the K-pop bulls, right? Yo, they all look like women, right? They all put on makeup like women, and then some of them try to look like thugs. Like, yo, it's just hilarious, man. You gotta love it, bro.
Version of fake it till you make it. Well, of course, what Drake is doing is not anything like that, but instead, with the star that Drake has always been and the pedestal that he was put on around the turn of the streaming industry, because you could really see how much he could churn out trendy slop ever since the start of these platforms' full-on prominence, which really started around views. Well, since then, and really that turning point, which has seen Drake just sell out more and more for weird trends. What it seems like now is that as Drake was complacent enough to release so much music frequently and just to do about pretty much any sort of thing in the most versatile grift we have ever seen, ultimately the farms and fake
he said the most versatile griff. Yo, that's funny as hell. The most versatile griff. Oh man, it's hot as hell in here. Hold on real quick. Let me oh man, thank you. Oof. It was hot in this room, boy. I had to change that. Versatile griff. Let's go.
Tricks of the industry used Drake's music to create the impression that he had a sort of musical dynasty that always seems so much stronger than ever was, clearly. Because obviously now, as we are seeing the numbers come down and Drake and even other artists lose streams as well, somehow now the truth that we are facing is that the guys who they told us were the biggest stars and who had the biggest songs, their music were the ones who were faking the pinnacle of popularity that we are seeing, which you tell me.
The thing is, people got to understand, when it comes to music, perception is everything. At least that's what we were told. I think Kendrick Lamar is breaking the mold of that. He's breaking the mold of what perception versus reality. I think a lot of people like Drake, and don't get me wrong, Drake is a huge artist, but I think a lot of y'all believe that Drake is so huge that he has no failures. You know what I'm saying? And it's like everything Drake does, y'all kind of like y'all give him a pass for. So let's just say, for argument's sake, Drake drops an album, and the album does 125 in the first week, right? Drake 125. That never happened. I'm just using this argument. Y'all would say, well, his last 5 albums did 300K, so it don't matter. It's like y'all don't want to admit that he took either a loss, a blow to his career, because everything you always say, well, he's still streaming the most. Well, he's still streaming the most because he has the most songs. Let's be honest here. And all the songs that streaming the most are all his old stuff. It's not like all his new stuff is streaming. Some of his old stuff is gonna stream forever because it's in the people's DNA. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? All his old stuff is gonna keep streaming. But what cracks me up is y'all really try to act as if his new stuff is actually doing really well. So people will be like, "Whoa, he got a hit Nokia." It's one song, bro. Like, come on. All his other songs, Drake still hasn't went number 1 since 2023. I'm trying to understand that. He has not had a number 1 song since 2023. Still hasn't had that. So when y'all sitting here saying that Drake is this and Drake is that, y'all don't want to just tell the full story. Tell the full story. It's crazy.
Just seems very strange and telling of the fact that for about a decade now at the very least, but maybe even longer, the stuff going on behind the scenes with Drake, OVO, and everything around them has genuinely been some terrible and super off-putting things that have probably made the playing field uneven in music for so long. And just to see the Drake fans go up right now as they are realizing this and they are spiraling out more than ever, it's both off-putting in terms of how much you can control and manipulate a group of people, but it's honestly hilarious in a way because as the entire Drake case is getting to this really ugly point, and it's clear that we are heading to a section of this suit where we are going to find out a lot more about everything, both with Not Like Us, because Drake keeps trying to dig into that, but ultimately as a result, they are going to find out about Drake's artistry and specifically how he has kept the machine running that we have all seen for years. Well, to be honest, I do think that the labels and streaming platforms even know that the end of the Drake grift is coming up, and they are preparing for that. So now whether maybe it was UMG themselves who made sure to get these numbers checked or did something wrong to make the system detect what's happening with Drake's catalog and how faked it may be, or the platforms are just getting tired of Drake making demands that Prime MJ or the Beatles would never get. Well, I think Drake has just made way too many enemies, and at that with the most powerful people in the entire industry. And again, this is not...
I believe that too. I believe that he did make a lot of enemies. I got enemies, lot of enemies. I think he really did make a lot of enemies. I think, I'll be honest with y'all, I think this is Drake's last hope. I think that if he wins this lawsuit, and I got a theory, and I'm gonna bring it up on my other show. But if he wins this lawsuit, changes everything. And I don't know. Let's keep it going.
Because he is this cool hero who is standing up for all artists. It's because he is this annoying dweeb who does not understand what his own stuff is worth, and maybe everyone here is to blame when you honestly consider everything, because for the fact that these platforms and labels have let Drake think that tracks like Girls Want Girls, Slime You Out, and so many other bad songs slide and do numbers, well, they created this delusion for Drake where you can say that he thinks bad is good, and as a result, this is why we are here today, where Drake is just doing the worst things. But now, as Spotify is trying to confirm these issues with the system and then wipe away the fake streams for good, it's going to be very funny to see how far they go with this. And truly, if the streamers and systems actually crack down on Drake and show that the guy who thinks he ran the game for 15 years was virtually just running a glorified streaming farm this whole time, the music industry is truly about to be shocked. And really, if even half of this is true, more than ever, Drake and everybody is going to look like a grifter, while at the same time for Kendrick Lamar, he is only going to look greater and greater than ever for truly standing as an authentic voice in an era where the biggest artists are literally lies. And so now with all this said, let me know.
Yeah, if this is true, and Drake is really out here botting and stream farming. I mean, I kind of got a theory. Maybe this is the reason why academics is trying to get away from Drake. Maybe this is the reason why he calling Drake out. Cause if it comes out that Drake is botting, oh man, it's not gonna be good, bro. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, UMG, like UMG, bro, they're really not trying to expose Drake, but I'm telling y'all now, it's gonna happen. He's gonna get exposed. You gotta understand, when you open yourself up like this, you can get publicly humiliated. I think the reason why UMG don't really want to do this, because they know they're gonna lose money if they lose Drake. And Drake knows that if he wins, he's gonna gain something from it. But he's really not gonna gain too much from it, because the music industry is not going nowhere. It's gonna always be here forever. It's not going nowhere. So, but I'm not surprised that people's streaming numbers are being fake. I believe that they have these streaming farms, and I'm surprised that most people are talking about them now. I was talking about streaming farms years ago, and I was telling people about it. People thought I was crazy when I said that, but now look, everybody's talking about it now. So it is what it is. But thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all. I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Torture Talk After Hours. You know what it is. See y'all. Peace. Bye.